Like, they're close, but that's the order they inevitably go in. I don't know how to handle this. I am an elf. Oh, you poor, sweet, oblivious baby. I don't even care if she realizes. Feeling things is not her strong suit. Come back in 50 years and show me. Hi guys, welcome back to another Rants video. This one makes me a little mad. I caught up with something again. I'm really mad that I caught up. I'm so mad I caught up. Initially, I didn't realize there was it's a one-season anime. I didn't realize there was going to be a second season. I didn't realize how recently it had come out. So I'm getting close. I'm going into this expecting, oh, it's just going to be the story arc, whatever, and then it's going to end. It's a short little thing, cool. I'm getting to the end of it, and I go, no, they're not going to finish everything they have to finish. There's no way it's going to finish that quickly. And then, so I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, sounds like a season 2 is coming. I am just apparently, for once, on top of something. That rarely happens. It's like when I started reading Keeper of the Lost Cities and I caught up with it and went, wait, I'm not like 5 years late to this series? What? Cool! The only reason I caught up with Dragon Watch is because I'm obsessed with Brandon Bowles. So, and even then I was like 3 books behind? I started reading it the year the 3rd book came out, I think. No. I found out about it and read it all within the year that the 4th one came out. And then the 4th one came out, and then the 5th one. So, I don't catch up with a lot of things. I'm usually behind the 8 ball on stuff like shows and movies. Well, movies not so much, but like shows and books, I'm usually way behind the 8 ball. But there are a few exceptions. Some rare exceptions. So anyway, I watched Frieren about 2 weeks ago. I finished it last week. I really, really like it. It's so like character-based versus action-based, which is so many things are like the action and the plot-based, whatever, and they're driving the story ahead with action and all of that. And they're just like, plot stuff happens, and you know, we get some character development if it's a good show. Or if it's an American show, we just get, I'm gonna tell you what this character is like, and that's all you get. But, you know, if it's a good show, we get some character background and all of that, but it's driven ahead by the action. So yeah, it differs that way. It's very much character driven, and it's a lot of focus on the characters and where they have been with like flashbacks or whatever else, and then seeing where they are now and the way different characters impact them. And it's so good. I love it so much. I really, really enjoy the character work in this. And like there's action scenes and there's some fights, and I love it. And they're so cool and it's pretty. But that's not the driving force of the story, which I really appreciate. And it's a different, you know, just brings in a different pace compared to most shows. So yeah, I just really enjoy it. And like Stark is probably my favorite. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's a lovable idiot. A little bit. But I really like Stark. I mean, Fern and Frieren are cool. I probably prefer Frieren to Fern. Like, they're all good characters. But it's like, if of the main 3, it's like Stark, and then Frieren, and then Fern. Like, they're close, but that's the order they inevitably go in. And then we have, whatever the priest guy that joins them for an episode or 2, he's on the bottom, just because I don't get almost any of him. He's very fun. Like, I love seeing him mediate all the teenage things. It's like these teenagers constantly get into fights, and Frieren's like, I don't know how to handle this. I am an elf and I've been alive for centuries, but like, I never got involved with humans and I don't understand this. Help me? And like, as far as elves are concerned, she's still fairly young, so like, she's not exactly above that mindset either. So it's really, that part was very, very fun to see with this character. But yeah, I just really liked it, like the world that they create, and it's more of a soft magic system, but we get into it a little bit and we get some history behind some stuff, so it's not exactly the mechanics of it that we get, but we get some lore for the magic, which I enjoy. So yeah, like it's a pretty soft magic system, but we get like background and lore and stuff, and I like that. Yeah, it's just, there's some spoiler things to happen with characters. So I don't know if there's really much else to talk about that's pretty much spoiler free. Just it's all pretty much character work. I love it. It's so fun. Now we're gonna go on a rant about character work. First of all, Frieren loves Himmel. Like, she totally loves Himmel. Or loved, I guess. She totally was in love with Himmel. Right? He was obviously in love with her. Like, he wasn't even hiding that. But she's in denial about loving him. She's totally in denial about loving him. Like, there was definitely, like, kind of a familiar platonic bond between her and all of the members of her former party, but she totally loved Himmel. The amount of times we have flashbacks of like how they interact and how many times she's just like, oh yeah, Himmel convinced me to change in this way and like try and get to know humans more and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, you poor, sweet, oblivious baby. You love Himmel so much. So that's just fun. I don't even care if she realizes. I don't care. It's not like Sophie in Keeper of the Lost Cities where you're like, oh my gosh, it's annoying at this point how oblivious you are. It is made blatantly obvious over and over and over again that Keith is in love with you and you're just stupid. And we're all just praying for her to finally get a clue. No, Frieren is different. Frieren's not oblivious in the same way. The reason Frieren is oblivious is because as an elf who lives a really, really long time and doesn't really have the same understanding and viewpoint of the world as humans do, she's really bad with emotions in general. Like, feeling things is not her strong suit, let alone knowing what those feelings are. And so the fact that she doesn't know she's in love with Himmel isn't because she's like oblivious. It's because she doesn't really understand romantic love. In that sense, not enough to know that, oh, no, I'm totally feeling it for Himmel. Like, I totally love Himmel in that way. She doesn't understand the concept of love and that feeling enough to really, especially with herself, like, she doesn't understand her own emotions enough to, like, know that she's in love with this guy. It's, so it's really that's more of a fun oblivious as opposed to an annoying oblivious. So I really don't care if we go through this whole show and she doesn't, like, realize that she loves him in that way. I'm not going to be opposed. I wouldn't be opposed to her figuring that out, but I don't think I'll be mad if she never figures it out, like, because that's not the point of the story either. Like, it's not romance driven, it's not action driven, it's just character driven. And I don't know, I like it. Maybe if Himmel was still a part of the story, I would care more. But it's 80 years later, and she's with her new party of people, and they're not really on a quest, they're just journeying and kind of recounting the steps, like recounting her steps with her previous party. Which everyone is connected to. She just picks up strays from her previous party members. So yeah, Himmel dies. I guess that's first episode. We literally start with the end of the first quest, and then we skip 80 years, and she comes back for this meteor tower thing. It's like, I know exactly where to show you this. And it's okay, come back in 50 years and show me. So she comes back after 50 years, gathers up her old party, who are now old men, and they go to this spot and they watch the meteor shower. And then Himmel dies. And so everything, it's kind of the catalyst for everything that happens in the show. She goes, okay, because of it, it's like all the changes that he made in her life and all of that come full front. And she is struggling to know how to grieve, and people are being like seeing her struggle to grieve, like not understanding the concept of grief, and like people are crying, whatever else, and like she's so cold, she's not crying. Can she even call herself a party member? Because they don't understand, because elves are so rare. And then her party members coming in and be like, we're not crying either, and totally having her back, and just having that understanding with them. And then eventually, like, she does cry, which is another, like, you're in love with her, you cried at his funeral. But she doesn't understand why he's crying. Like, she doesn't understand the emotions and all of that go with that. Because, like, just because the long life, it almost seems like emotions then get stretched and almost diluted with the time. Because it's like, as humans, like, we get anxious about things because there is a limited amount of time to get things done. And there's, like, so many things we want to do, and then you get anxious or whatever, and the excitement goes up and whatever because there's limited time to do it. And then we have elves who are, they haven't really said their lifespan, but it's kind of implied, like, we're basically immortal. We basically live forever. And so that anxiety and that worry and even that excitement, it gets tamped way down because you're not anxious about this thing because there's so much time to get all of these different things done. It's like all of these things you want to do, you have plenty of time to do them. It's not like you have to pick and choose what you do. It's just when. So it's, and just like seeing her perspective of time-based versus humans and all of that, and how she handles emotions versus how the humans handle emotions. It's a cool differentiation to show. It's like one of the consequences of eternity is like you won't feel emotions the same way that like a mortal creature does, because you basically have all the time in the world. So it's like, what's the point in anxiety? What's the point in excitement sometimes? And because you're mortal, it's like attachment. Why would we do this? And it's like, it's just really cool to see how they represented it, especially with how like emotionally inept she is. It's just so fun. And so then having, like, going on her first quest, of course, then getting like, hey, I can get to know people, and kind of opening up to the idea of befriending humans, even though they're mortal. And then going on the second one and seeing how she interacts with Fern and Stark. And then getting the flashbacks and seeing the different ways that she interacts with people and how she's changed and how far she's come. It's like, we get a lot of character development almost for Frieren, like through flashbacks. Like Stark and Fern, we get some flashbacks, and it's mostly just for backstory. It's just like context for this trait that they have. But, you know, because they are introduced into this story and they weren't alive when the other quest happened, they're growing on the journey. And then we have Frieren, like, she does get some character development on this journey, but a lot of her character development is happening like kind of through the flashbacks, because we're mostly just getting to go, here's where she was, this is her past, this is who she was, and then flashing back to the present going, okay, this is how far she's come. and throughout an episode, because, you know, it's mostly Frieren's perspective. And so having multiple flashbacks throughout the episode and kind of seeing a little bit of her journey through whatever attribute they're focusing on in a specific episode, because it's a portion of a story. That portion, that location or whatever that they're revisiting from her former quest. So yeah, it's a very interesting way to do character development. I think they do it very well. But yeah, I just I'm a character nut. I will nitpick character development. That's one of my biggest issues with modern shows. Is like you don't have characters. You have cardboard cutouts of characters, but that's it. They're two-dimensional, and it's very annoying. Especially if you have a longer show and you can actually do stuff. But no, we just like, here's cardboard cutout, and it doesn't help that they've shortened seasons now, so you have even less time to develop your character, so you're just screwing yourself for all of the nerds like me who absolutely love having an in-depth character, or at least a three-dimensional character. Like, there are three-dimensional characters, like, they make sense, there's more to them than just the attributes that we state or that we show on, like, surface level. Three-dimensional, like, there's more than just the surface level that they show everyone else. In-depth characters, like, okay, they have more than the surface level, here's why, here's how it happened, here's this journey that they've gone on. As like, you don't necessarily have to have every character be an in-depth character, but they all need to at least be three-dimensional. Otherwise, I'm gonna hate your character. And that's why modern shows kind of suck. But yeah, it's so good. I love it. And then we have Frieren after Himmel dies, kind of go, like, she still is a little disconnected, but she makes it a little more intentional about, like, visiting the different party members, visits the priest. I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, finds out he's been raising an orphaned mage girl, and he wants her to teach her, and then he tricks her into staying longer so that she can teach Fern, and then he's like, I'm on the brink of death, take my child with you, my surrogate child with you. She's like, fine, I don't have much of a choice now. Because the biggest thing of Frieren's character is like, I'm driven by the search of magic, and not like what most people would consider useful magic, like obscure, weird magic, like spells to see through people's clothes, or a potion that dissolves only clothes. It's just the most random, obscure spells, and which is just a great fun quirk for a character, is that it's like, my drive in life is just collect lots and lots of magic, and not what everyone else would collect, but the weird ones, the forgotten spells. So it's really fun. And so then that rubbing off on Fern a little bit, while Fern is still, like, as a human, as a mortal, very, like, blunt, but also stubborn and not set in her ways. Once she makes up her mind about whatever, like, that's how it's going. She, like, because she's a human, because she's mortal, she has more connection with people, and so she's like, we need to help people, and she's basically the driving force going like, Frieren, we need to help people. I know you're immortal, I get you're very disconnected from humanity and mortal creatures, and you don't understand all that, but we need to help these people. Like, come on, you can get magic out of it. And so, while Frieren is kind of the guardian figure, we have Fern being almost the more mature character, and it's a fun it's a fun dynamic. And then we throw Stark into it, who is the dwarf Eisen. Yes, that's how we say his name, Eisen. But Eisen, the dwarf warrior's apprentice, who is taught to fight, but is actually also kind of a coward, or believes he's a coward, because he he was in a warrior village, not the strongest warrior. His brother is the only person who is good to him. The way animes can make me really, really sad about a character who died before the series started in one episode. Every time, guys. Literally every time. It's like, they'll go through this however many episodes of this series, and they're like, yeah, make reference to the dead friend, relative, whatever. And then we get flashback episode where we actually get to see it, and every single time I'm like, no, you need to live, you're not allowed to die, even though it's far too late for that. So yeah, his brother, who is just the greatest human being, helps him learn to fight. And is the only person really in this village who is nice to him. Then the village gets attacked, and his brother tells him to run. So he runs. But throughout most of the series, like, we don't get the detail of, hey, my brother told me to run. We just get or at least how he sees it, I guess. We get, I ran away. I am a coward. I'm not fit to be a warrior. And then it kind of, he fights through it and he kills a dragon, and he realizes, oh, I can fight. I'm not a complete coward, but still carrying the baggage of that. And then getting to one of the episode where we kind of focus on him a little bit, and we get the flashbacks and whatever else, and we get some memories, and we get the memory, like, he it's his birthday. Frieren's trying to figure out what to give him as a present. So is Fern. We have their whole thing, and then they come back. Frieren has made like these meat pie things, and he's like, this is something that my mentor made for me, that Eisen made for me. And she kind of explains the meaning. It's like, they are made for warriors who work hard. And then he has a flashback, and he remembers, my brother used to make these for me. He used to tell me that I've been working hard. Kind of like, hey, keep it a secret. Don't tell Dad. Like, this is for you. Happy birthday. Like, you have been working hard. And then because of that, also like triggering that memory of, I didn't run because I was necessarily scared, but I ran because he told me to. Like, I'm not a coward necessarily for running. He told me to run because there was nothing I could do against this threat. And I'm not a coward for running, for surviving. Now, I am the last person left in this village, and if I had stayed, I would have died too. And having that realization in that episode was really cool. So that's part of the reason. His brother is part of the reason I like him better than anyone else in the party. But yeah, it's just so cool. I love their dynamics. I love the way they interact with each other. I love interacting with the random people in the village, because they're just on this journey. Like, they're not there is a destination, but there's not really like a quest. They're not trying to necessarily achieve something heroic, I guess. They're just traveling, and they're trying to get to this one place. Their goal really, there's not a huge goal, except Frieren is retracing her steps, essentially. But otherwise, the goal is just to get to the place where this world calls heaven. I cannot remember the actual name of it. They don't mention it that much, because it's the destination, but it's almost not the goal. Yeah, I don't know. It's really fun. I love it. I love how character-driven it is. I love all the characters. It's so good. The little bit of magic system, kind of the world that we get. It's so good. Fern and Stark just need to figure it out and start dating. Everyone knows it. The characters, the audience, they're just stubborn. And they're still at odds all the time because they like each other. But they're like almost in denial about it. They're like, no, this can't be what this is. You aggravate me too much. It's like, no, it's you aggravate each other in that way. It's not just the annoyance aggravation, it's the, like, romantic annoyance. I don't know if that makes any sense. Romantic annoyance. That's the only term I can come up with for that. But yeah, it's so good. I can't wait for more. We got the trials to become a first mage, which I knew one of them was going to make it, and then by the time we got some more context for head elf lady and Frieren's relationship, I was like, oh, it's not going to be Frieren. But Frieren is becoming freaking powerful, and that's fun to see. It was also fun to see all the different mages in this battle of sorts and the different strategies, so that was fun. But yeah, I can't wait for more. I'm just sitting here hoping it's soon, because I want more Frieren. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Frieren. Feel free to drop yours in the comments, along with any recommendations or requests or whatever. I post videos on this channel every Wednesday and Saturday, and on my audiobook channel on Thursdays. So right now, I'm figuring out where to go from here. I finished my Dreamwalker stuff because I don't know where to go without spoiling everything, which I don't want to do yet because I need to finish writing the book first. I put out a poll on that channel if any of you are interested in helping me figure out what story I do next. Anyway, that's all I got. See you guys next time.